talk a little bit more about those phases of clinical trials. So broadly, there are three main phases for a clinical trial: phase 1, 2, and 3. And each phase is asking slightly different questions. So phase 1 studies tend to be smaller studies, and the main goal of these studies is usually to test the safety of a particular drug, usually a drug that's being used for the first time. Phase 1 trials may also look at what the optimal dose may be for a specific drug. If drugs are considered to be safe, they then move on to phase 2 trials. And phase 2 trials tend to be a little bit bigger. The main goal of a phase 2 trial is usually to test whether a treatment may be effective. Sometimes that might be compared to another treatment, but oftentimes it may not be compared to another treatment. It may just be, asking the broad question of, is this treatment effective for a specific cancer type? If a treatment is deemed to be effective, then the drug moves on to a phase 3 trial. And these trials tend to be larger studies, sometimes on the order of thousands of patients. They can often be across multiple countries, multiple institutions. And in these studies, the main question the trial is asking is this treatment effective, more effective compared to a standard treatment that we use for a specific type of cancer? Patients for phase 3 trials are often randomized, which means that when you agree to participate in a trial, you don't know upfront what treatment you may get, whether it's the new treatment or the standard treatment. Patients may also be blinded, which means even after you enroll in the trial and start getting the treatment, you still may not know which treatment you're actually getting until the trial eventually closes. Oftentimes, oncologists or providers are also blinded, meaning your oncologist doesn't even know which treatment you may be getting. Those trials are called double-blinded. I'll also mention that not all drugs will actually go to a phase 3 trial. For example, for a rarer cancer type, a drug may be tested in a phase 2 trial to see if it's effective, but there may not be enough patients who even have the cancer to be able to do a phase 3 trial. And so some drugs get approved based on phase 2 trials only. Not all of them move on to phase 3 trials. But typically, if we could do a phase 3 trial, we like to do so we can actually compare the drug to a standard treatment. And then in addition to these broad categories, there are some newer types of trials that are being more and more are being run in the oncology world. So one type of trial is an umbrella study. This aims to test multiple drugs or drug combinations alongside each other for one specific cancer type. And these trials are often what we call biomarker driven, meaning tumors that have specific mutations or specific targets or specific biomarkers. The treatments, patients may be assigned to specific treatments based on those biomarkers. Not always, but often in umbrella studies, biomarkers and sort of the personalized aspect of treatment becomes important. Another type of trial is called a basket study. This is where one drug or drug combination is tested in multiple different cancer types. For example, there may be 3 cancer types that all have a similar, again, biomarker or specific mutation. And so one drug that targets that specific mutation may be tested for patients with breast cancer, ovarian cancer, and pancreas cancer, all under one trial. And that's called a basket study. So a few other different trial types to know about.
So this was an awesome explanation, Meera. I think for our patients, it's important to mention that you don't need to go through each phase of a clinical trial. The phase only describes where the researchers are in the process of studying a new treatment or topic. And so how do you know if you are eligible for a clinical trial? In other words, how do doctors decide if you can be in a clinical trial? So first of all, you are the one who is in charge of your health. You are the one who decides if you want to go for a clinical trial. And if you choose to join a clinical trial, the study's researcher will check if that specific trial is right for you. Usually, the research team takes into a number of factors when considering who might be a good fit for a specific trial. And this might include your age, cancer type, the stage, meaning how spread is the cancer, the grade, also specific genetic changes, as Meera mentioned, mutations or alterations in your tumor, what we call biomarkers. Your health status is also very important to make this decision, or if you have received any treatment in the past.